right, so this is one of my favorite topics, and we're just going to scratch the surface on this because this is really more about a strategy session here, but it's important to understand the pain-pleasure principle anytime you want to do some kind of a weight loss program. Actually, it's important anytime you want to do any kind of a change in your life. Anytime you want to change your life, you got to ask yourself, what are you focused on? What does it mean to you? And what are you going to do about it? And really the answer to those questions are going to be based at the core of your neurophysiology on the pain-pleasure principle. When you make a decision, it's going to pull in all of your past experiences, your belief system, your value system, your morality, and it's going to weigh all these things in. And at the very last second, when you actually go to make that decision, it's going to ask yourself, will this cause me pain or pleasure? And based on how you wired all those things in is the decision that you're going to make. And the challenge that you get is sometimes a lot of people keep making the same wrong decision. Do you know anybody like that? I've got a lot of people like that. When they make the wrong decision, basically what they're doing is they're not learning the principle here. They're not learning the lesson the first time that they've received the pain. They haven't associated the pain with the wrong choice. And this is a distinction that I'm hoping you get some insight here. The reason why I'm sharing the pain-pleasure principle in this program is because you're going to have all these choices to make every day. The average person makes 600 choices in a day. So let's say you make 50% of them wrong. That's 300 wrong choices. Let's say you make an extra 20% right. That's an extra 120 better decisions in a day. You think your life could be better if you make 120 extra better choices a day? What does that turn into a month? What does that turn into a year? That drastically changes the course of where you're going to go. And this program is all about just giving you some basic things to follow, but it's really designed to lay the foundation of where you want to go. Now, I'm a health and wellness expert, and this is what I want you to get, is that you take these foundational principles that I have, that I've given you here, and they're not all mine. I mean, most of them comes from science and research and people who've been doing this much longer than I have. But you take these and you make the decision based on what you want long-term rather than just what you want short-term. Most of you right now, I'm sure you want to feel better, look better, do better, give more. You want to give more of yourself. You want to be the best person who you can be. And the only way to really do that is to start making better decisions for you. You have to start making better decisions for yourself if you want to help other people. Now, the pain-pleasure principle, I'm going to share the story with me, is that it turns out I thought my story was unique. When I was paralyzed in a football field, I thought that I was the only person that had ever gone through something like this. And it turns out, as I got older and started healing, I was still caught in the same fears that I had when I was injured. And I'm talking like 5, 6, 7, 8 years later when I had actually recovered. And physically, I was actually making progress. But anytime I got close to either a movement that replicated my injury, or every time I got close to something that felt remotely close to a pain, I would shut down. And even as I got a little bit older, maybe I physically wouldn't shut down, but mentally I would start to feel the fear, and I would be afraid of maybe going back to that old pattern. And when you make decisions based in fear, they're just never good decisions. Nobody ever makes good decisions based in fear. It took me a long time before I realized that some of the things that were happening in my life, I was doing it out of a subconscious wiring to avoid the pain of what I had been through. It doesn't mean that I have to go back to my child or I have to go back to that injury and rework some kind of an issue. That's not always the case. Sometimes it's just as simple as saying, you know what worked for me in the past no longer serves me. With the way I acted or the way I did something or the way that I was supposed to be just to survive that situation in my 20s, maybe no longer serves me in my 30s. Maybe what I did in my 30s no longer serves me when I get to my 40s. Being aware, just asking yourself, am I aware of the decision that I'm making? And is that decision based on avoiding pain or going towards pleasure? Just having that clarity and the insight is sometimes all you need. Now, if you don't, then go get a counselor, go get a psychologist, and work through some of the issues. But you'd be surprised how much change somebody can make once they see that insight and feel that insight for themselves. Where my distinction was is when I had a good friend of mine share a story that most people, when they make decisions based out of fear, is that they're blaming their condition, their life condition that they have right now. They're blaming it on something bigger outside of themselves. So in my case, I couldn't do this because I have a back injury. I couldn't do this because I was paralyzed and I don't ever want to go back there again. And basically what I kept saying is that there's something bigger than myself that I don't have any control over, that if I ever do this, it's going to push me back to that. And it's not true. It turned out it just wasn't true at all. And once I started to realize and test those waters and step out and say, you know what, is that really true? If I go work out, is it going to hurt my back? Yeah, it did hurt my back. But guess what? Even if I didn't have a paralyzing injury, it turns out there's people who work out who aren't paralyzed who get back pain. It just happens. That's what happens when you work out. But my conditioning, where I've associated this pain was that if I do this and that pain hits, I'm going to be worthless. I'm going to be half a man. I'm going to be paralyzed. And I stopped working out for quite a while. I actually ballooned up to about almost 245 pounds. That's a lot for me. And I got fat. I got much bigger than I should be. I got way out of my set point range. And then I realized, I have to do something. I have to make a decision here. What am I doing right now that's not getting what I want? The quickest way to get upset with life is to expect life to unfold in a way that it's not. If you have an idea of how your life should be unfolding, whether it's financially, health, relationship, if it's not unfolding in the way that you think it should, then you're going to be upset. That's the definition of how you have people get aggravated and frustrated in their life. And the only way to change that is either you got to change your idea of what life should be, or you need to change yourself to match what you think that end result should be. I'm going to say that again for you because I really hope you get this concept here. You only have two choices if you want to change the way life is unfolding for you. Either you need to change to match what has to happen. If you want to have six-pack abs, if you want to fit into a size 4 dress, there are certain things that you know you're going to have to do. You can't just do nothing. I mean, they say a mosquito doesn't get a pat on the back until he goes to work. You're going to have to do some level of work to get what you want, especially if you have higher standards. And when you raise your standards because you want more things, then you're going to have to be more disciplined in the decisions that you make to get what you want to get. And if you have a difficult time doing that, anybody who's ever played a sport or anybody who's ever been in the military knows what it's like to be around other people with high standards. The reason why you get such elite athletes or the reason why you get such an elite team or force is because they surround themselves with people with high standards. And if you've got low standards, then that means you're not holding yourself accountable and you're not pushing yourself. You get around people who push themselves and have high standards, that's going to dictate the decisions that you make. So you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people. There's an exercise that we have on here that I want you to do about your accountability, about your accountability partner. You're going to see it under this one here. But if you're not around people with high enough standards, there's no way you're ever going to maintain and sustain the goals that you want to get.